We'll start now. Om Vakratunda Mahakayam Suryakoti Samaprabha Nirvighnam Kuru Meva Sarvakaryeshu Sarvada Sakaraswati Stubhyam Varade Kamarupini Vidyarambham Karishyami Siddhir Bhavatame Sada Gurave Sarvalokanam Vishaye Bhavaroginam Nidhaye Sarvavidyanam Dakshinamurtaye Namaha Ishvaro Gururatmeti Murti Bheda Vibhagine Vyomavatyaptadehaya Dakshinamurtaye Namaha Sadashivasamarambham Shankaracharya Madhyamam Asmadacharya Paryantam Vande Guru Parampara Gurur Brahma Gurur Vishnu Gurur Devo Maheshwara Guru Sakshat Param Brahma Tasmai Shri Gurave Namaha Om Sahana Bhavatu Sahanau Bhunattu Sahaviryam Karavavahai Tejasvinapatitamastu ma vidvishavahai Om Shanti 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 Harihi Om Vasudevendra Yogindram
Vasudevendra Yogindram
Nattva Jnanapradam Gurum Mumukshunam Hitarthaya Tattvabodho Bhidiyate Sadhana Chatushtaya Sampannadhikarinam Moksha Sadhana Bhutam Tattvaviveka Prakaram Vakshyamaha Sadhana Chatushtayam Kim Nitya Nitya Vastu Vivekaha Iha Mutrartha Palabhoga Viragaha. Do you chant with me? Okay. Iha Amutra Arthapala Bhoga Viragaha Shamadi Shatka Sampattihi Mumukshutvam Cheti Nitya Nitya Vastu Vivekaha Kaha. See, every class we chant, we recite this. So by this time, you should have memorized this.
Yeah.
Right? You don't need a text also. Nityavastu ekam brahma Tadvyatirittam sarvam anityam Ayam yeva nitya nitya vastu vivekaha विरागः कः इह स्वर्गभोगेषु इच्छाराहित्यम् क्षमादि षट्कसम्पत्तिः का शमः दमः उपरमः तितिक्षा श्रद्धा समाधानं च इति मरदुपचा शमः दमः उपरमः तितिक्षा श्रद्धा समाधानं च इति शमः कः मनोनिग्रहः दमः कः चक्षुरादि इन्द्रियनिग्रहः उपरमः कः स्वधर्मानुष्ठानम् एव तितिक्षा का शीतोष्णसुखदुःखादि सहिष्णुत्वम् श्रद्धा कीदृशी गुरुवेदान्तवाक्येषु विश्वासः श्रद्धा समाधानं किम् चित्तैकाग्रता मुमुक्षुत्वं किम् मोक्षो मे भूयात् इति इच्छा एतत् साधनचतुष्टयम् ततः तत्त्वविवेकस्य अधिकारिणः भवन्ति I think it is worth reciting up to here. I think the whole in the text, right? Because some of you need to memorize. By this time, you should have gone to a memory. It is important, right? So it's better to memorize the definitions as we learn regularly in the class. It's a simple prose, so you can memorize, right? Okay. Tattvabodha kaha. Atma satyah. तदन्यत् सर्वं मिथ्या इति Okay, this is the last sentence we saw in the previous class. We will pick up the thread from where we left and continue today also. Right? This mithya is very an important word, Mithya and Satyam. So we will discuss on these two words further and also probe on what Atma is. Okay, now we can mute your mic and listen. Tattva Vivekaha Kaha. What is Tattva Viveka? That is the Vishaya, subject matter of this text Tattvabodha. Atma Satyaha Tadanyat Sarvam Mithya Iti. That is the answer for the question. Atma Satyaha. Atma, I. I is the truth. Everything other than that is Mithya. Tadanyat Sarvam Mithya Iti. Atma Satyaha Tadanyat Sarvam Mithya Iti. Atma is Satyam. Everything else other than Atma is Mithya. Mithya. You know how to write this word Mithya. You can see our the WhatsApp. Sarthama asked me how to spell this word. I sent Mithya. Atma is Satyam. Everything else other than Atma is Mithya. This is Tattva Vivekaha. In the last class, if you listen, those who have not attended, we have established that Atma is not an object. Atma is not an object. I hope those who attended, they remember that. How we established. Always you should refer to the previous classes and remember the points we discussed. Though we recollect those important points once again, it's always better to refer to the previous class notes. How do we define an object? In general, an object is defined based on its attributes. An object is defined based on its attributes because no object can be defined absolutely. In fact, an object is nothing but its attributes. For example, you take sugar. Sugar is white in color. We know sugar is white in color. Sugar is sweet. So this whiteness and sweetness, these are the attributes of sugar. Maybe sugar may have some more attributes. But Atma, it is not an object available for perception like other objects of the world which are available for perception. If Atma is also an object, if Atma is also an object, then Atma should have attributes, like sugar has attributes. If Atma is also one of the objects, then Atma should have attributes. If Atma, the subject, I, has attributes, then Atma also should become one of the objects available for our sense organs, for recognition. The attributes of Atma should be the attributes of you. Your attributes should be the attributes of Atma, because Atma and you are not different. For example, your name is an attribute. Your gender is an attribute. Your nativity is an attribute. It's an attribute of you. If you are Atma, all these attributes of yours should also be the attributes of Atma. We know that an object and its attributes are inseparable. Hotness is an attribute of fire. Hotness is inseparable from fire. Fire and heat, they are inseparable. In the same way, you, the Atma, and your attributes should be inseparable. If all the attributes of your body, mind, sense complex are the attributes of Atma, then after the death also, it should continue. But does it continue? After death, I will be identified only as this body. not even with my name. As long as I live, I am identified with my name. But after that, I am referred to as this body. This body is an object. Mind is also an object. They are anatma. The attributes of anatma are superimposed on atma, and we think atma is also an object, and therefore we think that atma, I, is also subject to destruction. If atma is an object, definitely it will be subject to change or destruction. But atma is not an object, and therefore it has no attributes, and therefore atma cannot be defined perceptually as we define objects of the world in general. Right? This we have seen clearly in the previous class. Okay. Can atma be a property of any objects? Can atma be a property of any objects? If you take the position saying atma could be a property of any object, then also it is not possible. Since we know object and its properties are inseparable, atma is again reduced to an object which atma is not, and it has been established by us. We can also establish that atma is not a property of any object by another way also. I'll tell you that way. A property of an object, a property of any object is subject to change. For example, you take the seed of any plant. The seed of any plant, it will germinate. If you sow it in the soil, pour water and put a manure, it will germinate. But what will happen if you roast the seed? Once roasted, the seed will lose its germination property. The germination property is now changed by roasting. It means what? The properties can be changed. The properties of an object can be changed. If atma is a property, then it can be changed by a roasting. Roasting it is then good. You can roast the atma and change it. Since properties of an object can be changed, if atma is also a property of any object, then it can be changed. If it can be changed, then atma cannot be satyam. Satya means what? Satya means that which doesn't change its nature, swarupam. That which doesn't change its swarupam is satyam. Therefore, atma being satyam, atma cannot be a property of any object also. Okay. Now, can atma be a product of objects? Can atma be a product of objects? For example, let us take sambar. No, sambar means sambar. What we cook in the kitchen. Sambar is a product. Sambar is a product which is prepared with the various ingredients like tamarind, chili powder, salt, oil, mustard seed, water, and other things also. If atma is also a product like sambar, then atma should have been made with the mixture of many ingredients, and all these ingredients must have transferred its properties to atma. Then atma is not satya atma. Then atma is not satyam, because atma doesn't have independent existence. Atma is a product which is prepared with the mixture of many ingredients. Therefore, atma exists because of the various ingredients, so it doesn't have independent existence. Therefore, since atma can neither be an object or properties, atma cannot be a product too, because product too is also an object. Atma cannot be a product can be proved by another way. For example, if you take a car is made up of many parts. We know a car has wheels, it has 4 wheels, it has an engine, it has a steering wheel, steering gear, gearbox is there, brake system, fuel system, and so many other things are there. All these things are all these parts are put together to make a car. A car is nothing but an assemblage of all these parts. If Atma is also a product put together like a car, then Atma must have parts. If Atma has parts, then Atma cannot be Satyam, changeless. Atma cannot be changeless. That which has parts is an object. Object can only have parts. And objects are therefore changeable. They are changeable, they are subject to destruction also, perishable. They cannot be Satyam. Therefore Atma cannot be a product also. Since Atma is neither an object nor a property of any object nor a product, then what is Atma? Atma should be the changeless Satyam. It should be the changeless Satya Vastu. Atma has independent existence. Atma Satyaha. When we say Atma Satyaha, Satya means real. Real means an existent thing. An existent thing is Satyam. Mithya means unreal. Mithya means unreal, which doesn't mean non-existent thing. Please understand, Mithya doesn't mean non-existent thing. It means an apparent existence or dependent existence. Mithya means dependent existence. You can clearly note this. Mithya means dependent existence. Satya means that which exists independently. Asatyam or Tucham, it means totally non-existent. Like a rabbit with horns. A rabbit horn is not existent. It is non-existent. Absolutely non-existent. For existent things, we use the word Satyam. For things which are non-existent, we use the word Asatyam or Tucham. And Mithya is a word we use with an implied understanding about the reality of an object. In other words, Mithya is a word which we use to refer an object which has dependent existence. Now, remember these points. Point number 1. Atma is not an object and hence not objectifiable by any sense organs or pramanams except Shastram. Except Shastram, it is not objectifiable by any pramanam. Shastram is Apaurushaya pramanam. Shastram is Apaurushaya pramanam. It is the pramanam is not available for human beings to handle. Why? Because this pramanam is external to you in the form of words. Shabdarupena. Shabdarupena, the Shastram is available externally. And the Shabda leads to Jnanam. The words of the Shastram gives you Jnanam. Number 2, Atma is not a property of any objects. If it is a property, and since properties can be changed, then Atma also becomes incidental. Atma also becomes subject to change. Then Atma cannot be Satyam. This is number 2. Point number 3. Atma is not a product of any objects. And number 4. Satyam is that which has independent existence. Mithya is that which has dependent existence. That you must remember. Always you must remember, Satyam means that which has independent existence. Mithya is that which has dependent existence. From this point, the last point, we can easily infer that there cannot be many Satyams. If there are many Satya Vastus, then it will lead to Dvaitam, duality. All the objects of the universe, this Jagat, it exists because of only one Satya Vastu, it is Atma. Tadanyata Sarvam Nitya. Everything else other than that is Nitya. So let us understand this Nitya clearly. though it's explained in detail, still we will probe this word mithya. A writing table, let us take a writing table. I am taking the word writing table. A writing table is an object. A writing table is an object, it is made of wood. A writing table is an object made of wood. A writing table is not a substance. It is only a name given to a particular form of wood. In the writing table, what is the reality? The wood is the reality. There is no table apart from wood. But at the same time, we cannot dismiss the table totally. The wood, which has a specific form in the form of a table, and the table has utility. The table has some usefulness. But the table itself doesn't have weight of its own. The weight of the table is nothing but the weight of the wood. For example, if you say that the weight of the table is 10 kg, 10 kg is the weight of the wood. Table is nothing but a form given to the wood. So the weight of the table is nothing but the weight of the wood. Table has a specific form. Table is tangible. It has 4 legs. It has a drawer. It has a footrest. It has its utility. Therefore, table exists, but not like wood. Understand very clearly. Table exists, but not like wood. A table exists, we say, because a table is not the chair. A table exists. A table is not the cot. A table is not the shelf. So, a table is distinct from a chair, from a cot or a shelf. Therefore, table as an object exists. Right? Now we will investigate the reality of the existence of the table. Right? Suppose if I point at a table and ask you, where is the table? Then what will you do? Will you point at the legs of the table? The leg of the table is not the table. The drawer is not the table. The footrest alone is not the table. A table has many parts. So you cannot point at the parts of any table and say this is a table. The parts alone are not the table. The table doesn't exist without the parts also. Right? But when the parts are properly put together, it forms a table, and the table has a form and utility. At the same time, if I remove the wood from the table, minus the wood, the table doesn't exist. Minus the wood, the table doesn't exist. The tangibility or the weight of the table, it belongs to what? It belongs to wood only. So therefore, table has dependent existence on wood. Table has dependent existence on wood. Wood is Satyam, table is Mithya. Now you understand what Mithya is? Wood is Satyam, table is Mithya. When we say table is Mithya, please understand we don't dismiss the table. Table cannot be dismissed as non-existent. Neither can be considered as self-existent. Please understand this. Table cannot be dismissed as non-existent. It can neither be considered as self-existent. Being not self-existent, the table depends upon another existent thing, which is wood. When we say table is Mithya, it involves the understanding of the reality of the table in terms of its tangibility, utility, shape, form, and it is different from other objects like cot, chair, or shelf, right? So understand this very clearly. The table is made of wood. The table is made of wood. Therefore, the wood is Satyam, the table is Mithya. You see the word itself, wooden table. The table is made of wood, but we call it as a wooden table. In the word wooden table, wooden is the adjective and table is the noun. Is it not contradictory? You see, in the word wooden table, wooden is the adjective and table is the noun. The noun table, it is really speaking, it is not a substance. It is just a shape or a form given to a particular piece of wood. But it has become the noun. The very substance out of which the table is made, it has become the adjective, Visheshana. Wood is a substance, but it is adjective in the word wooden table. In fact, it should be the other way. How? You remove the suffix wooden, en is there in the wooden table. After the wood, that letter en is there. You take the word and that en alone and put it like this. Table and wood. In fact, it should be table and wood. When you say table and wood is a substance and table is the adjective. But in our language, in our regular usage, we use it in the other way. We give importance to the adjective, not to the substantive. It's really a strange thing. The wood has sacrificed its status of being a substantive for the sake of table. Though we say wooden table, we understand wood is a substance, not table. Table doesn't exist independently, independent of wood. Any object for that matter, it depends on any object made of wood. It depends on wood only. Whether it is table or shelf or stand or chair or cot, all these have their existence depending on wood. Therefore, all are mithya because they have dependent existence on wood. Wood is satyam, a table is mithya, a shelf is mithya, a cot is mithya, a chair is mithya, all are mithya. With regard to wooden products, wood is satyam, pervading the mithya objects. When we say wood is satyam, please understand, it doesn't mean wood is the ultimate reality. I hope you understand that, right? A wood can be further narrowed down to cellulose fibers, a fiber to further molecules, and further atoms, and further particles, and so on. We can go on and on. All are mithya only. Finally, it will lead to the Satya Vastu, that is Brahma, Atma. All these have dependent existence on only one Satya Vastu, which is Atma, Atma Satyaha. Similarly, with the other example what I gave in the last class, the shawl. Shawl is mithya. Shawl is made up of threads. Thread is mithya. Thread is made from yarn. Yarn is mithya. Yarn is made from fiber. Fiber is mithya. And further molecules, atoms, particles, all are mithya. Then what is Satyam? Satyam is Atma is Satya Vastu. But for our discussion sake, we consider fiber as Satyam, which pervades the thread, which pervades a yarn, which pervades a shawl. Right? So with respect to the textile world, fiber is Satyam, which pervades the mithya objects which are made of fiber. Similarly, we can take the examples of gold and the ornaments made of gold. When we say golden chain, a chain which is made of gold, the chain and the gold, they are not two different objects. A chain is dependent on gold. Therefore, chain is mithya and gold is satyam. Gold has independent existence and chain has dependent existence on gold. Therefore, gold is satyam, chain is mithya. With reference to golden ornaments, gold is satyam and anything made of gold is mithya. Chain is mithya, bangle is mithya, anklets is mithya, earring is mithya, bracelet is mithya, anything you take, it's mithya. Gold is satyam. But we say golden chain, golden ring, golden bracelets, we make the substantive as adjective and adjectives as substantive. It should be the other way. It should be chainy gold or bangly gold, right? Bracelet gold. Minus the gold, there is no chain. If you remove the gold, there is no ring. If you remove the gold, there is no bracelet. The weight of the chain is nothing but the weight of the gold. The weight of the ring or the bracelet is nothing but the weight of the gold. If you want to sell the chain, the buyer will calculate only the weight of the gold, not the weight of the chain. It doesn't bother about the form of the gold. It doesn't bother only about the weight of the gold. A chain is nothing. It is a form or a shape given to the gold. So too, a ring is nothing but a form or a shape given to the gold. Similarly, a bracelet. So they don't have independent existence. They don't exist independent of gold. Therefore, anything which is made of gold, they are mithya. Therefore, now we understand wood has independent existence, and all products made of wood have dependent existence on wood. Fiber has independent existence. All products made of fiber have dependent existence on fiber. Gold has independent existence. All products made of gold have dependent existence on gold. In the same way, now we have to analyze, who am I? Who am I? If you ask this question to anyone, who are you? Right? Naturally, the person will say his name. Further, if you ask, he will say his father's name. Further, if you probe, he will say his family's name, location, his nationality, nativity, gender. He will give his own biodata. This is what the definition of who are you by that person. All these are nothing, they are adjectives of the person. They are nothing but the adjective of the person. Without that person, these adjectives as such, they don't have existence. Therefore, what are they? They are mithya. They are mithya. Then which is satyam? What is satyam? The very person, that person is satyam. Shastram says, Atma alone is satyam, and everything else other than the Atma, the whole Jagat, which is made up of objects and things, they are all mithya. Because they have dependent existence on Atma. This is not a speculation. This is the truth, and this is the discovery of this truth. And this discovery of this truth is called Tattvabodha. That is why we started with the question. Tattvabodha kaha Atma Satyaha. We need to understand this Satyam very clearly. Nothing exists without this Satya Vastu, Atma. Can you imagine a table without wood? Can you imagine a cloth without the fiber? Can you imagine a chain without gold? Impossible. As you cannot imagine a table without a wood, as you cannot imagine a cloth without the fiber, as you cannot imagine an ornament, a chain without gold, so too, you cannot have a name or a family or a nativity or a gender or nationality or anything for that matter without this Satya Atma. When we say Satya Atma, it means what? It means me. It means we, the very subject, I. I am Satyam. I am Satyam. When we use the first person, we say I. Agam Uttama Purusha, Ekvachanam. And with the third person, we use the word Atma. We use the word Atma. Both are same. Atma and I, both are same. I hope you understand that. Here, the author, it paraphrases the Shruti Vakyam by saying, Atma Satyaha. Atma Satyaha. Satya Atma is the one who experiences everything and in whose presence alone all experiences are possible, in whose presence alone every experience takes place. Therefore, without the person nothing exists. No experience possible. Therefore, Atma Satyaha. Can you think of the world without yourself being there? Can you think of anything without your being there? Can you see anything without your being there? Can you hear anything without you being there? Can you smell, or can you touch, or can you taste, or can you imagine, or can you believe, or can you think of any knowledge, or can you remember anything without you being there? No, it is not possible. So, Now tell me what is Satyam and what is Mithya. You are invariably present in all the conditions, all the situations. And the situations may vary. Situations are subject to variation. That variations depends on you. All these variables, they depend on you. But you are invariable in all the situations. Even between the two successive thoughts of your mind, between the two thoughts, there is no thinking. It may be a split second. But even in that time, you are very much there. Whether situations are there or not, whether thoughts are there or not, you, the Atma, the I, is always there. Whereas everything else, all the other things, it depends on you. There is no seeing without you. There is no hearing without you. No smelling without you. No touching without you. So you are there all the way. Therefore, you, the Atma, is Satyam. Atma is Satyam means I am Satyam, because there is no Atma other than me, I. That is why in Mundaka Upanishad, some of you are attending Mundaka Upanishad class, probably would have heard this. The Shaunaka, the disciple, asked his teacher, Tasminnu Bhagavo Vijñāte Sradamidam Vijñātam Bhavati iti. What is that knowing by which everything else is known? What is that knowledge? The teacher says, since all have its existence on Atma, Atma Jnanena Sarva Jnanam Bhavati. By knowing Atma, you know everything. What is to be known is known. In Chandogya, there is a story. It is in the form of a dialogue between the disciple, Shvetaketu, is a disciple, is a student, and his father, Uddhalaka. Uddhalaka was his father and also the teacher. There we find this unfoldment of Satyam and Mithya. It's beautifully described. Vacharambanam vikaro namadeyam vrittiketyeva Satyam. All products are karyam. All products, they are nothing but karyam. They are products. The Sanskrit word for the products is karyam. All products, karyam, they are mithya. And the cause of all those products, karyam, that is the karanam, it alone is satyam. Karanam alone is satyam. All the karyams are mithya. And what is that karanam? The cause of everything, that is Atma. Therefore, Atma is Satyam, Anyata Sarvam, Mithya. We have to understand these two words, only these two words in Vedanta. If you have studied Vedanta for a number of years, and if you, after studying Vedanta for a number of years, if you say, I know I have studied Vedanta, I know everything about Vedanta except these two words, Satyam and Mithya, it means we have not understood Vedanta. Without Satyam Mithya, there is no Vedanta. They say the entire Vedanta can be put in a simple shloka, in half words. Shlokardhena pravakshyami viduktam grantha kotibihi brahma satyam jagan mithya jivo brahma iva naparaha. Shlokardhena pravakshyami. Artha shlokena. I can tell the essence of the Vedanta in not even one shloka. Okay, a shloka consists of 2 lines. So we don't need 2 lines. Even half shloka is sufficient. In half shloka, I'm telling you the truth. Viduttam grantha kotibihi. That which was told by Koti Grantha, crores of texts, right? What is told by the crores and crores of this Grantha, I can tell you in half shloka. What is it half shloka? Brahma Satyam, Jagan Mithya, Jivaha Brahma Eva, Na Aparaha. Brahma is Satyam, Brahma is Atma, Atma is Satyam, Jagat is Mithya, Jiva is Brahma Eva, Na Aparaha. It is not different from that. This is it's a beautiful shloka. The entire essence of Vedanta is put just in a half words. There's nothing in the world which is separate from the Atma. So, therefore, all that is here is only Atma. If Atma is Satyam and everything else other than Atma is Nitya, then I must know the meaning of the word Atma. We have discussed Satyam and Mithya. Now, if Atma is Satyam, so we discussed what Satyam is, then I want to know the meaning of the word Atma. Though we understand it as I, we cannot take it for granted the word Atma. Therefore, the author, it takes up the next topic. In the previous sentence, for a question, Tattvabodha, author defined, author said, Atma Satyaha Tadanyat Sarvam Nitya iti. This is Tattvabodha. There we saw the word Satyam in Nitya, though author has not explained that. We dealt in detail. Now the author is going to explain what is Atma, and he will say what is Satyam later. Now the disciple has requested, Atma Kaha, that is the next thing. You can unmute your mic and repeat after me. Atma Kaha Stula Sukshma Karana Sharirat Vyatiriktah Panchakoshatitah San Avastatraya Sakshi Satchidananda Rupasan Yaha Tishtati Saha Atma. Okay, you can mute your mic. Atma Kaha. What is Atma? Atma, the subject, very subject, the self. What is Atma? Stula Sukshma Karana Sharirat Vyatiriktah. We will just say the definition today. We will deal with this definition in detail in the next class, because the author is going to introduce many words in the answer, and we will take up each word for discussion in the subsequent classes. Stula Sukshma Karana Sharirat Vyatiriktah Panchakoshatitah San Avastatraya Sakshi Satchidananda Rupaha San Yaha Tishtati Saha Atma. Stula Sukshma Karana Sharirat Vyatiriktah. That is, the one who is distinct from Stula. Stula means gross body. Sukshma, subtle body. Karana Sharira, causal body. So, Stula Sukshma Karana Sharirat Vyatiriktah. The one who is distinct from the gross, subtle and the causal bodies. Panchakoshatitah San. Panchakosha is, we will translate it as 5 levels of experience. If you take up any other book, any other translation, they will translate as sheet. We don't use the word sheet. That is not a good translation. We will translate that kosha as 5 levels. Pancha is 5, kosha is, we will translate as levels of experience. Pancha kosha titah san. The words are very important, so we cannot just swallow the words as translated by the so-called people, the English translators. Sheet is not the right word. So, Panchakosha Titah San. One who is beyond these 5 levels of experience. Avastatraya Sakshi. Avastatrayam. One who abides as a Sakshi, witness, to the 3 states of experience. Avastatrayam. What are the 3 states? Everything will be discussed. Satchidananda Rupaha San. Yaha Tishtati Saha Atma. Sat, Chit, Ananda Rupaha San. The one who is in the form of existence. Chit, that is Sat. Existence is Sat. And Chit is consciousness. Ananda is completeness, fullness. So the one who is in the form of existence, consciousness, and fullness, that is Atma. So Atma is distinct from the gross, subtle, and the causal bodies, which is beyond the 5 levels of experience, which abides as a witness to the 3 states of experience, and which is in the form of this existence, Sat, Chit, consciousness, and Ananda, completeness or fullness, that is Atma. This is the definition of the Atma. For the question, who am I? It is given here. That is the for the word I. This is the definition. This is the vision of the Shastra. If you ask anybody, a layman will answer that his answer will be completely based on only on body mind sense complex. But the vision of Shastra is different. Though here the Shastra in the beginning, the definition, it defines Atma in terms of negation, and later it defines in terms of assertion. Sachit Anandaha Rupaha San Yagatishthati Saha Atma. We will probe into the definition in detail in the next class. Today we will stop here. And after this Shanti Mantra, if you have any doubts, you can ask. Om Purnamadah Purnamidam Purnat Purnamudachyate Purnasya Purnamadaya Purnameva Vashishyate. Om Shanti Shanti Shanti. Harihi Om Shri Gurubhyo Namaha. Harihi Om. If you have any doubts, you can ask me.
And small doubts.